And we're live. We have no viewers yet, though, so it's a problem.
Excellent.
Amongst ourselves.
Let's.
Oh man.
We'll wait for a couple of people to join, and then we can kick off. However, if no one joins, then just go.
We got jokes in it.
Yeah.
We've got 2 people. We've got 5 people.
Hello, 5 people.
Hello, 5 people.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Hello, 5 people. Welcome.
Does it come up on the is it just you that can see who's?
Yeah, on my screen I can see who's in. Yeah. If you can hear us, give us a hello, just to make sure that we're loud and clear and we're live. So we're on 6 at the moment.
Wow, 6. What's going on?
Jumped up to 8.
Yeah.
We are.
Hi, Moj.
Yo.
You look about 16, you know?
Is it?
Yeah.
I'll take it, man.
Young, man.
Yeah, take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
Hold it, bro. Hold it.
Yeah. See, because the thing is, with this, see, my thing is, I don't have a beard, like not like you guys. So I think that makes my face look a bit younger. It's not. You know, if I had that, then I don't know.
I think you got quite a defined jawline as well.
Hey, Jeanette.
Yeah.
Which adds to the youthfulness, I think.
I respect. I'll take that.
I don't even want to talk about beard. I don't want to talk about. I since lockdown, I haven't shaved once, right? And this is all I've got.
Hey, it's not bad, you know. Once you shave it up, watch when you shave it up.
The beard's all right, man.
Nah.
Yeah, man.
No. It's not Quark's or Cam's level.
Nah, Quark's
it's not. But
you're Gandalf business out here, man.
I'm still trying to grow this side, just like to come up a little bit.
No, whatever, man.
How much more do you want?
I'm gonna grow this side.
Just to come up a bit. You get me?
How much do you want? How much more do you want?
Just come up so it matches, like, because this is higher than this one.
You
come on, you know, we want perfection here, innit?
Oh man.
Cool.
How many got now?
We're on 10 viewers, so we'll give it another minute, and then we can kick in with some intros.
All right, cool.
So welcome to everybody who's here.
Hello, 10 people. What's up?
Hello. Nice to have you. Nice to. Glad that you could join.
Yes.
Gina says happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Gina.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Gina.
Sister G.
Did I see a message?
Gina, happy Father's Day to you too, sis.
So what did you say, man?
I saw a message come up earlier on as well. So I think somebody else wished to.
Yeah.
Yeah, forever. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
Jackie.
you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. We're on 13 now, so let's kick off. I'm sure more people will be joining. It's also going to be recorded, so we can jump right in. So for those who are online and for those who are joining, thank you very much for joining us on the Husband and Wife Club YouTube channel, my wife's channel. Today is the Fathers and the Fellas takeover in aid of Father's Day. So welcome one, welcome all. Guess it's probably a right time to do some introductions. So let's start with Cam. Here in this forum, we've got 5 fathers, all with unique experiences, and what we're hoping to do over this next hour and a half is just share some of our experiences with you, and hopefully it might help somebody. So let's start with Cam. Cam, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself and how many kids you have?
Sure. So my name's Cameron. I live in Reading, born and raised in Northwest London, but live in Reading. I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter, and they are in the ages of 15, between 11 and 15. So my youngest is 11, oldest is 15. And yeah, I guess I'm here to really kind of share my experience and to gain some knowledge from the rest of the participants, because I think everyone's got something valid to contribute, and yeah, we're just gonna have a good time for the most part.
That's right.
All good, all good. Let me jump to Emmanuel.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Emmanuel, and I have 3 children also. Also from 2 boys and a girl, same as Cam's. That's another story. We'll get into that one in a same ages, 15, 13 now, and 11. So yeah, yeah, they're getting big. They're getting big. Yeah, happy to be here, and I know this is going to be a fruitful conversation. Nice one. I'm looking forward to it.
Bless. So the other 2 guys have been on this is your 2nd week in a row, is it, or 3rd week? 2nd week in a row, right?
A 3rd, I think.
3rd week in a row.
3rd, yeah.
Cool. Right, let me jump to yeah, they're veterans. Okay, let me jump to you.
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, my name is Kweku, Kweku, if you know how to pronounce it. Some people may not, so K will suffice. I have 1 daughter, she's 1.5. That's my only daughter. Hopefully more will come. I live in West London. I live in West London. Lived here most of my life. Yeah. I was born here, but grew up in Ghana for my first 10 years. But I'm just happy to be here, happy to learn, and hopefully I can teach something as well.
Respect. And then Fess.
Evening, everyone. My name's Festus. Friends call me Fess. I've got 4 kids, married 11 years, 12, 11 years. My oldest son is 15. My next son is 10. I've got a 8-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son, so 3 boys and a girl. Just here to chop up with my brothers. Looking forward to it. Let's go.
All good. Welcome everyone. For myself, my name is Jason, married with 4 children. My wife is the founder of the Husband and Wife Club YouTube channel. And I guess it's a pleasure just to spend some time with these guys here. I've known them for 20, 25, 30, too many years. I've known them for too many years, and I can say that they're my brothers. So yeah, it's a pleasure to spend some time with you guys, talk about our experiences in fatherhood. And for those who just joined, this is the Father's Takeover for the Husband and Wife Club YouTube channel. There are 5 of us here. 1 has just dropped off, but I will add him as soon as he comes back. And this evening, what we're going to do is just talk all things fatherhood. We're going to talk about our experiences, some questions that we faced as fathers over the years, and our viewpoints on them. And you've seen from the Husband and Wife Club YouTube page, this whole month has been a series of lives. So I think the first one was around mothers and their experience of being mothers through quarantine. Second one was about couples and how they've coped with this lockdown period, whether there are divorces on the cards or more children being locked up so close to each other. And we had some dilemmas as well. And now we're with fathers. I'm gonna add Cam back. Hold on 1 second.
Sorry, boys.
No problem.
You trying to duck?
No. It was like a China.
Sorry.
No worries. So guys, I guess what we should do is just jump into the questions. So those viewing, we have some questions which have been put to us about our experiences as fathers. As per usual, should you wish to ask any question, feel free to drop a question in the comment section. Or if you would like to comment on anything that anybody has said, yeah, definitely jump in the comment section and we'll try and address it as best as we can. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the first question. And that is, what kind of relationship or what influence has your father had on your life? Today being Father's Day, so I think it's a great question to kick off with. So let's start with Let's start with Quarks.
My relationship with my father was literally just father son. There wasn't really like a friendship with my father, but that's just how he grew up. That's how he knew best to deal with me, I guess. I lost my father in 2007 to cancer, so that's why I'm referring as it was. He's not around anymore. But I feel like if he was around when I was a bit older, I think we'd have a really good relationship now because also he lived in America. They moved to America when I was 18. I was in uni at the time, so I chose to stay. And my sister was also in America working. But she was the reason why they went there. If and whenever I called there and I was talking to them, it seemed like my sister and him had developed a really good relationship. And I feel like I said, if you know, in my older age, him and I would have had a really, really good relationship. But unfortunately, he's not here. But he was consistent with how he dealt with me. I mean, I've liked it because obviously, as a young man, you want to do your own thing. You're consistent here in how he dealt with me, and I've taken that on with my daughter, being consistent with her. Yes is a yes, and no is a no. And I think as my daughter gets older, I'll perhaps explain things to her. I didn't get that, but then I don't know how much explanation you get from an old school African dad. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's consistency is what I know has influenced me when it comes to my relationship with my daughter.
Okay. I don't know whether to ask you a question now or ask everybody else.
You can.
Well, I'm going to say, what if you could change anything in terms of your relationship with your dad? What would that
be? To be more not friends, because I know a parent and a child, not friends, but to maybe have more of a friendship with him, as well as me knowing the line not to cross. Do you know what I mean? And there was a line that I knew not to cross, but that was just it. That was the line, and his dad and our son, and that was it. I guess perhaps maybe he was waiting until I got a bit older, then he perhaps changed in certain ways towards me. But I'd love more of a friendship with him, to do more with him, as father and son. Yeah.
Cool. Respect that. Emmanuel.
Boy. This is real talk, man.
Yeah, man.
This is real talk. I mean, to be honest, I've had for the most part a real positive role model in my dad. And I've kind of grown up. As you get older, you don't realize you were observing when you were younger. You kind of just got on with life and you just dealt with it as it happened. But as I've gotten older, I kind of realized that I was observing, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
And I think for me, my dad, like Kay said, one of the things I got from my dad was consistency. He was like military precise when it came to his schedules and how he kind of did things in the house and the timings and all of that. He's still that way to today. I mean, the beauty is, I think, we all, well, I know Kay and Jason, you guys know my dad very well. Cam's, Daddy very well. And yeah, he's very much the way he is, but a lot has changed, I guess. Similar to Kay as well. It was a father-son kind of relationship, but more in regards to father as responsibility. you know, he was the dad that kind of looked after us, made sure we had food in our belly, clothes on our back. You know, he worked hard. You know, times back then, you know, because they were immigrants, you know, coming here from Ghana. You know, things were really tough and hard. So I think, yeah, I've learned a lot from my dad, and I'm sure we're going to go into that later on in terms of how that has informed our parenting. Well, I guess it's part of the question: what influence has your father had in your life? But I would say, because funnily enough, I actually had to have a conversation with my father recently about this topic, and it was only a week, 2 weeks ago, that we kind of had a heart-to-heart, man-to-man kind of talk, because I think there was a few things that we needed to talk about, needed to discuss. So to be honest, it's like when we were looking at this, and I was looking at these questions, I was like, man, this is deep stuff, man, because I don't know. Looking back, there's a lot of things like the question you asked, Jason. There's a few things that, looking back, I would have liked to have, and it's very similar to Kate, in that, you know, they were very much parents. He was very much a father, but in terms of relationship, there wasn't any kind of, you know, on a personal level. It was more on, you know, father, son, I'm going to look after you. I'm going to do the best for you. And, you know, it looked a certain way. Yeah, it looked a certain way. But in everything that I've learned, or everything that I have taken the good and the bad, and learned from that. And I very much parent. A lot of the decisions that I make now as a parent has a lot to do with how I felt towards my parents, stroke my father. Yeah, so things that I love, I try to implement in my own way, and things that I would like to see different, or I would have liked different, I try to implement that with my children. But yeah, I'll stop there because yeah.
You know what? Before I jump to Fred, I wanted to touch on actually. When you were speaking, I was writing it down. Have you got any examples of things that, I don't know, you went through as a child, that you said, you know what, I really didn't like the way my dad dealt with that, or I didn't like the way he was in that particular regard. So I'm going to make sure that when I have my children, I will never do that. And that goes out to everybody.
Yeah. Like there's certain times you'd ask me a question, and I can't think of an example now, and I would answer his question. I remember actually there was it's a Friday evening, and he asked me if I could polish. No, because I went and polished my shoes. Normally I polish his shoes and polish my shoes, and then he said to me, he thought I'd polished my shoes already. He said, "So you polish your shoes and polish mine?" I was like, "I haven't polished my shoes, Dad." And I got a swift box in my mouth. I'm like, and he goes, "So if you haven't polished yours, aren't you gonna polish mine?" I'm like, "I'm just answering your question. I just said no, I haven't polished mine." You know what I mean? And so for me, it was like, conversation was, he wouldn't really allow me to like express myself and talk to him before his hand moved sometimes. You know what I mean? And for him, that was his discipline, or maybe he's in a bad mood or whatever. But it was hard to explain to him, because he didn't have the patience for me to explain anything to him. And so I think one thing I will definitely do with my children will be to to speak to them more than anything. Hopefully, I'll never have to ever use, and I'd never want to. Do you know what I mean? And so speaking to them will hopefully be enough from young, you know. But yeah, I think a bit more patience with me. But when I think about it, certain times, I think I did need a father, almost just, you know, that.
So you needed a box.
I did, yeah. I did need a hard father, because when I think about it, I could have ended up in some real problems, like with the law. And I didn't participate in some things because I wasn't afraid of the police. I was afraid of what my dad would do if police turned up on my doorstep. Yeah. So that the police, I wasn't afraid of them. It's just what my dad. So I think I did need a hard father, but I just wish that there was a friendship there too. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Some cases,
I know.
You know what? Take me to jail. Just take me then. I don't
Bro, take me to jail. Just let's leave it there. Don't say anything to her. Is it missing? He's missing. That's it.
Take me.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, some you guys, Jason and man, you don't need my dad.
Not like Seth, you know.
Right, man, like Seth, it wasn't easy. Yeah. So certain times my friend Raf had to come to the house and say, Mr. Haji, man, it's my birthday and I'd like to have a house party. Could Kwaku come, please? And then I'll be waiting behind the door, you know, like listen to it. And he liked Raf, so most of the time he did. But there was one party that everyone in college went to. And Raf came. He's like, Mr. Haji, man, there's a birthday party. Can Kwaku come? My dad goes, Raphael, you know I like you, but this time no. You know what? I had my clothes on. I was in my bedroom. I had my clothes on. my heart.
Yeah.
My heart was broken. and Raph came to my room and goes, Quarks, your dad said no, you know. And I was like, yeah, safe, bro. Thanks for trying. And you know, you go to college on Monday, everyone's talking about it, and you're just standing there like, seen. But yeah, I needed a father like that.
Were you punching the pillow like?
Bruv, I just sat in my room. I didn't even switch on my TV. I did. You know, I was really surprised when he got me Sky in my room. I was like, what? My dad's got Sky, and there's these big speakers he gave me. I was surprised because that's not him.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't need a father like that, but I would have loved the friendship. The friendship would have been great for me.
First, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So I guess similar to some of you guys, my dad is he was like obviously first generation Ghanaian coming here. Wasn't easy for him. First and foremost, he's my absolute hero, my role model. Like, I didn't realize when I was younger that he was my hero or my role model. I think as some of you lot were saying, like, you're observing him and observing how he moves, not knowing that it's really influencing how you're gonna kind of shape you as you grow. He worked. He still works like super hard. Like he used to do night shift for like 20 years, I think. Then he became a lecturer, and he's a qualified accountant, and like he's the guy, man. Similar to what you man was saying in terms of the friendship may not be, because my dad was harsh. Like he was harsh with me. I probably needed it at times, like you were saying, Quarks. I needed it because certain ways I was moving, you don't know how I can be sometimes. So I needed a little bit of a restraint every now and again. Sometimes I thought, Dad, you're being a bit too OTT there. It's a bit. And again, with the hands, he was quick with the hands, like quick with the hands. Some of these Ghanaian dads, or African dads, should I say, like MMA is nothing to them. Like it's real, like hand to hand. It's just easy. But yeah.
MMA.
But discipline was a big thing for me, and I think it affected me in some ways because of that. It may have stopped me from approaching him on personal things or deep things that were on my mind. But I look back now and I'm not like he did what he had to do. Do you know what I mean? There's only a lot of the time they're shaped by how they were raised and
That's right,
stories
yeah.
about how what they went through, like what my granddad did to him. I'm like, damn, I thought I had it bad, but you know what I mean, but yeah, he's absolute hero, man. My dad's just my hero, and because of that, it's definitely shaped the way I am with my own children. I take some things out, some things in, but some of the things that he used, like some of the harshness that he had for me, some of my kids, especially Joshua, he might need that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, my hero, man.
So let me just pick up on something that you just said. So you said like because of how he was quick with his hands, or sometimes he was harsh, it will prevent you going to him with some of the personal issues that you were going through. And I think probably all of us can relate to that, in that we probably didn't go to our dads with, I mean, I'm speaking for everybody, but we probably didn't go to our dads with any personal issues that we were going through. Do you wish you could have? Like, do you think it would have made a difference to?
Yeah,
100%.
I do, because
100%.
sometimes, right, one of my sons will come in, like Jaden or Joshua, they'll come in with a question. They'll come into the room, say, "Dad, can I have a word?" I'm like, yeah, what's up? And it'll be something so random, like the weirdest thing. I've had this thought about this, and I'm like, yeah, sit down. And in the back of my head, I'm proper smiling, because I'm like, I could never do this at this age. Just go and ask my dad a random thing. For example, if I asked my dad a random question, right, he'd be like, "So you've got nothing to do right now?" That's on your mind. That's what's on your mind right now. You know what? Don't get a book, right?
Go read. Yeah.
No, he'll tell me, get a piece of paper, he'll write an essay question at the end. This is no lie. You write an essay question, and they say, do both sides. Essays.
100%. Yeah.
Because I asked a random question. So because of that, I don't want to write no essay, so I don't ask him no questions. So
yeah. 100%. Oh my gosh. 100%.
Yeah.
That sounds mad familiar.
In that regard, my dad is quite a quiet guy. He's very you would come home and not realize he's at home. Like, he's so like tucked away, and he only kind of came out on certain occasions. My mum was the mainly the disciplinarian. You know what I mean? My mum was the one that was like always on our case and this, that, and the other. And my dad was really, really quiet. Like, he's just, until certain things happen, and then he will kind of show his face. So in that regard, I mean, it kind of, because he was really quiet anyway, like we never talked as a result, partly as a result of that. I don't know, obviously, like what you guys are saying, they were brought up differently. They're from the old school. But I think if like you said first, if you look at how they were raised, they probably have done better than some of the stories we hear that what they went through. But I didn't I couldn't go. I didn't feel like I could go to my parents or my dad, because there just wasn't much communication at all in any shape or form. It wasn't even, it was when we were younger, as in younger, like below 10. It was we look after you, feed you, all of that kind of stuff. But as we got a little bit older, where we started to learn how to do everything, cook for ourselves, clean the house, and all of that kind of stuff, there was even less contact and communication. We just knew what we had to do in the house. We cook for the whole family. We'd clean the whole house with me and my siblings. And so there was even less interaction. So in that regard, it got to the point where it's like we don't. So it's like, if I had anything, I wouldn't think to go, and not necessarily because my dad would lash out or my dad, say anything as such, but it just didn't really cross my mind.
Right.
Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird when like, well, for me, time had passed would say something random, like when I was much older, he'd ask me about a girlfriend, and I'm like, didn't even had a chat about like birds and bees. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, so do you have a girlfriend? That's it. When they tried to attempt to kind of reach you, it was always a bit weird. Like, what's going on here? Is that a trick? Is there an essay? Like,
yeah.
You're looking for the paper,
I guess you kind of have to respect it though. Them trying to bridge the gap.
You tried, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
Definitely
to be honest,
catch
I respect that. Yeah, no, that wasn't my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never asked that.
Yeah, it's a mad one. It's a mad one actually, because later on, I remember, like, as part of the conversation that I had with him, I remember I was I was what, 20, about 22, 22, 23, and I had a friend, like a roadman, proper road, and he kind of, I would say, one of the first guys to ever sit me down and say, he gave me some advice. Just one or two things. He said, listen, as a man, X and Y, we need to, have this or this, that, and the other. And at the time, I didn't really think about it in terms of equating it to like fatherhood and, mentorship and, that kind of thing. But, now when I think about it, I'm like, that was probably the first piece of advice that somebody said, I'm going to sit you down as a man, and I'm going to tell you something about being a man. And I will never forget him. Like, I didn't know him much. He was somebody else's friend, one of my friends' friend. But because they were around a lot, I got to see him a lot, and we started to develop a little relationship. And then one day he just said, I'm going to tell you something about, being a man. And he gave me one or two pieces of advice, and I will never forget him for that, because I still keep that to this day.
So therefore, there's no problem with another man being a father figure in your life, even though he's not your father.
Oh man, I mean, to be honest, it's like I look at it now and I'm thinking I would have loved to have had some kind of something outside of something social, a social element. Because my dad being a pastor, he was always about his work, and being his family, we were always, for the most parts, especially over the weekends and stuff, we were with him, and what that would do for us anyway, was that what that would do for me, looking back, is that I saw the time he put in to the church, and I saw the time and the hard work he was doing it, all of these areas, and visiting people and spending time and talking and this, that, and the other, and looking back at that, I think I'm like, you had time for them.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that social element, that outside of fathering, I think for me that's quite a big one, because when I think back, I can only really remember, and I'm sure there's more, but there's only one occasion that stuck out in my mind where there was a social, playful time with my dad, and I remember clearly because we went to Ghana and we were playing football, and he was playing football with me. And the reason I remember it, because in my mind I was like, wow, my dad can play football. Like, like I'd never seen it before. Do you know what I mean? We were playing football together, and that's literally the only time I can remember that there was that social interaction. You know what I mean? That playful interaction with my dad. And like I say, there was probably more. But the fact that there aren't any others that I can pick up from the top of my head makes me realize that actually that it probably wasn't there, and it wasn't there for a variety of reasons. Like somebody mentioned already, they were immigrants. They had so much to deal with in terms of coming from a completely different country, completely different environment, completely different challenges they faced. You know what I mean? It must have been crazy. I guess we'll touch on that shortly. But Cam, let me bring you in as well, because I see you sitting there as well. So share your view.
Firstly, I think you guys contributions are so valuable, because I think what I'm hearing as a collective is that everyone's dad gave what they had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess that the challenge is you can't give what you don't have.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I look at the relationship or the influence with my dad, and our relationship was strained for many years. It was strained for many years. We didn't necessarily have one. And this is let me just say that this is no shame or no judgment, no heat on him. You know what I mean? But our relationship was strained. So I didn't necessarily have an active relationship with him. I saw him on occasions, and then I didn't see him. You know what I mean? And so I was kind of left, for the most part, to fend for myself. I had like my granddad. My granddad was quite influential. But for the most part, I was kind of left. So when it came to learning stuff and being and doing, a lot of that was informed by just external forces. You know what I mean? So like I learned to make a jump shot, very similar to Emmanuel. I learned to make a jump shot from some of the road boys. You know what I mean? And that's typically something that you share with your dad. You play catch with your dad, you play football with your dad. I just didn't have that. So I kind of went through life feeling a bit, I wouldn't say inadequate, but I knew that there was something that I needed that I didn't have. You know what I mean? And I think as time progressed and I started having kids, for me, I became very aware quite early on that there were some tools that I just didn't have, or I hadn't developed yet. You know what I mean? And that was a direct reflection of the relationship that I had with my dad, or the relationship that I didn't have with my dad. You know what I mean? So I think over time, I've become just a lot more, aware of myself. I've become a lot more okay with myself, and a lot more accepting of who I am, one as a person, and two as a dad. You know what I mean? And so I've been able to, I say, forgive or come to a certain level of understanding with my dad based on some of the resolutions that I've come to in my own personal life. You know what I mean? I look at my granddad, and my granddad for me was pretty much how your dad is for you. You know what I mean? My granddad was a double amputee. You know what I mean? But that man walked with purpose. Like because he lost both of his legs, he walked slowly. But when I watched my granddad walk, it was as if the world was waiting on him. He was that kind of guy. You know what I mean? So I think very similar to you guys, I fashioned myself after him. And given that he was obviously considerably older, he used to make time for me. And I grew up in a family where the boys came later. So it was myself, my cousin who's a girl, and my sister, and my mum and my granny. And that's a lot. That's a lot of women to begin with. And I think he knew that. You know what I mean? So they had a summer house. He'd take me to the summer house with me and him.
Wicked.
And he would grow plants and stuff, like veg. He'd grow all kind of stuff. And then there would be like a little patch, and he'll be like, just dig out the hole. And I'd be digging at that hole all day. He knows ain't nothing doing there. We're not growing nothing there. What do you want him to do? You know what I mean? But I was grateful for that, because I knew, or I didn't know at the time, but that's what I needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So where some of you guys, your experiences are very much like, oh, you know, my dad, he kind of corrected me, but I needed that correction. I look back and I was that kid that was a bit out there, but I needed just a bit of love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't necessarily need licks or a bus head on occasions. You know what I mean? They asked me not to come back to Pathfinders because of that. I went again, but that's another story. You know what I mean? That's a different story. But yeah, I just needed someone to vibe with, to be with, and I was okay just being me around them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think sometimes when you grow up without dad, and you grow up with a lot of women, and you don't exhibit feminine traits, you can be seen as a bit out there or a bit boisterous. And it's like, well, it's not. I'm boisterous. I'm just a boy. You know what I mean? So I look at that all encompassed, and I'm like, from what I was to where I am, I don't think my relationship with my dad directly played a part in who I am. I can't. I'm very respectfully to him. I can't think of any qualities or traits that I've said, you know what, I want to take that from him and apply it here. You know what I mean? A lot of what a lot of the process that I've gone through and the transmogrification that I've experienced as a person is very much based on, I didn't have this and I want to give this to my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I didn't necessarily have a dad who would hug me and be like, son, you look good, son, you know what I mean? Let's do this together. So I'm very much like, hey, you lot, let's do this. Or, you know what I mean? Son, like my son likes to dress up, he likes to look good. So I'm like, what, you know what I mean? What do you like? Let's do this, let's do that. I try to be as interested as possible. And I guess that's off the back of not necessarily having a pops or an active one. But yeah, if I'm honest, his influence wasn't it wasn't really influential like that.
So let me ask you, Cam. So you've said there that his influence wasn't a factor on how you are as a person, but do you feel that you have, because of that, you've made a conscious decision to be a particular way with your children because of the lack of what you had, you know what I mean, or what you didn't have?
Absolutely. The challenge with that though is you make a decision that you want to do different, but you don't know how to do different. You know what I mean? So I didn't have my pops, so I want to be there for my kids. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? So I know I want to be a good dad. I want to be loving. I want to be kind. I want to be compassionate. What does that look like day-to-day? I didn't know. So in my mind, I was like, well, I'm going to try and do what I can and hope for the best. And I think for the first 5 years, I spent a lot of time apologizing to my son, to my oldest. Like, Daddy shouldn't have spoken to you like that, you know. I'm sorry. Daddy shouldn't have done this, you know. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, Daddy was just a bit angry here, and Daddy shouldn't have spoken to you so harshly. And these are things that I didn't know. I just didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But because of that, I look at my pops and I think to myself, what didn't you know, or what didn't you have, why our relationship turned out the way it has?
Yeah.
Because there's a certain level of compassion that my kids have extended to me. So it's only right for me to extend that to him.
Yeah, that's
So there are ways that I operate and function now that are a direct result of the relationship that I didn't have with my dad. But even in that, it still came with its challenges. You know what I mean? It came with its own challenges.
Respect that. Cool. we could probably carry on with this particular question for a little while because I know we can expand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a few more. So unless anyone else wants to share something, should we jump to the next one?
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so I guess this is appropriate for the current climate that we're in. So the question is, what are your fears or concerns for your children about growing up black in the future? Fears or concerns for your children about growing up black in the future? Let me come to Fess first.
So, this one is a mad one because so going back to my own dad, he would often let me know about the world before I knew of the world. He would often tell me, he would often remind me that I have to work twice as hard to get halfway near. Do you know what I mean? And I had that drummed into my head. So when I faced things that were like what he was describing, I knew what it was. So I often kind of do the same, especially with my 15-year-old. I do that with him. I let him know that certain things he's saying, the way he's talking, like the language he's using, you need to know there's a difference. When you're chatting with your friends and when you're out there chatting professionally, you need to know when to turn it on. The code switching is a real thing in our community. It's
key.
Real.
It's key.
It's real. So I because of my dad's influence on me, I'm like, I know it's different. America's a different kettle of fish. I know that. And over there, being a black man or a black woman even is just like your life can be in danger just by a simple traffic stop. Do you know what I mean? My fears are like sometimes I worry. I really worry. And the thing is, it's not about just me making sure they're financially well looked after and they're ready financially, which is obviously part one. I have to make sure that's definite. But it's just socially how to move. Because the thing is, at some point, they're going to face something. They're going to have their first incident. I remember we went to a parents' evening at Jaden's school, my oldest. And there's one we got to one teacher's desk, and the first thing she said was, yeah, Jaden's been on report, you know, he's, you know, been messing about. And I'm like, Jaden's face just dropped. He was like, he looked at me like, whoa. I looked at him. I said to the teacher, are you sure? Like, Jaden, yeah? She's like, yeah. He's been on report. And I said, but correct me if I'm wrong, I ain't been to school for a while, but when you're on report, you've got to sign, the parent has to sign the thing and bring it back, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah. I said, but I haven't had to sign anything. Then she started realizing that, you know what? This is a different black boy that I'm thinking of. And when I said to her, are you sure you're talking about Jaden? She's like, then you could touch it. Anyway, let's talk about Jaden's work. She tried to just
wow.
No.
I said, let's bring it back because you've made a statement now. And you can see from
you can't rush that like that.
You can see in his face that he's genuinely shocked and he's got no idea what you're talking about. So what was he on report for? And it basically unraveled and she was totally wrong, mistaken identity. But on the way home, I had to explain to Jaden that little element that he had at school, by the way, can happen it will happen this is the real world now. It's going to happen to you on a bigger scale. You're smart, like he's a smart kid and he's going to be a smart man. But no matter how smart you are, you're going to face that. So preparing him's hard. I can't mess with his head and tell him war stories or like try and freak him out. I just have to. Yeah, Michelle remembers that teacher. She was there as well. Like I can't scare him, but I've got to prepare him, and that there's a balance in kind of making sure he's aware that he's got a part to play in it as well, in terms of the code switching and sometimes dialing back. Even though you may want to react in a militant way, it's that level of control where you've got to just accelerate and brake. Like that thing we all have to do as men here in a workplace, in a street. We just have to do. We do it every day, and that adds to our blood pressure. By the way, that's a separate discussion. Preparing him for that, it's hard work, man. I watched something on the news, like when obviously the George Floyd thing, everyone knows how disgusting and how tragic that was. And I'm watching it with him, and he's just staring at the screen. And my younger kids are asking, like, why did they do that to him? And they're asking a genuine question. Why did they kill him? So I've got to be like, well, and I've got to try and explain racism to kids that don't have, like, they don't get it. It's hard, man. It's so hard. It's so hard. I don't know. All I can do is just prepare him just to be as smart and intelligent and dissect information as best he can. And boy, hope that, and just pray that he maneuvers himself and he's protected, man. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
But the fears are genuine, man. The fears are genuine.
I hear that. Cam?
What are my fears and concerns? My fears and concerns are more centered around them opposed to the external. So what I've come to, not that I didn't know it before, but what I've come to appreciate and realize even more so now is that I have no control over what happens outside. The only control that I have is how I operate and function within the realm and the scope of whatever that situation is. So for argument's sake, Fess went to the school and the teachers were talking nonsense. He could have reacted differently. You know what I mean? But he reacted in a way that he thought was appropriate. So I think when it comes to the fears and concerns for my kids, my thing is I need you guys to understand and have a knowledge of self, a knowledge of who you are as people. And not that I want to scare them, but I want them to be aware of society's general view of Black kids. You know what I mean? And how it is that you have to meander through that. Because I know I've had experiences where I've been chased by groups of white guys. You know what I mean? I've experienced racism firsthand. And what I don't want to do is I want to share experiences, but I don't want them to become fearful or develop a certain level of underlying hatred for different groups of people. You know what I mean? So it's essential for me to try and build them up as people as much as possible. So that whole narrative from Fess, you got to work twice as hard to get half as much. People have been talking that for years, for centuries, well, decades. You know what I mean? And though I agree with it, I think I want them to be aware of it, but I don't want them to have a chip on their shoulder. I don't want them to walk into a situation with this mindset that I'm not good enough. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you're inferring that first.
Yeah, no, I'm not fucking.
I want them to walk into any situation with a certain level of self-confidence, self-pride, you know what I mean? Awareness of self, and them just saying, you know what? I'm approaching this from a place of I am enough. If you don't accept me, that's okay. And if you don't like me, that's okay. But I'm okay with me. And I like me, and I love the person that I am. And I think that level of confidence and understanding and self-awareness for me is key for them kids. Because I know the hang-ups that I've grown up with as a kid coming up. And I just think to myself, I want to pass on the lesson. I don't want to pass on the emotional, the sentiment. You know what I mean? I want them to learn and to know what's happening in the world. But though it's happening in the world, what's happening with you specifically? And how are you going to react, and how are you going to handle yourself within this time of like racial tension and racial unsurety? Because I've had them same discussions. Me and my kids watching the George Floyd thing, and I'm very open with them. I'm like, there's some people who just don't like us because we're Black and because we're sexy. You know what I mean?
Come on.
I don't say that to them. I don't say that to them, but they know the deal. They know that. But I'm just like, there's some people who aren't going to like you by virtue of the color of your skin.
Yeah.
You You know what I mean? And that's it. It's not okay, but it doesn't diminish you. It doesn't take away from you. You're still amazing. You're still wonderful. You're still blessed. You know what I mean? You still have a level of graciousness and self-control that isn't predicated upon whether someone accepts you from the outside. You know what I mean? So those are my fears. Ultimately, my fears and concerns. Less about people and more so about them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, for me, I look at it and very similar to what Cam's is saying. My biggest concern is for them to be comfortable in their own skin, for them to know that you know their opportunities for success lies at their own feet, and regardless of the kind of challenges and stuff that they can face. And the thing is, the reality of life has come into your home, because sometimes you discuss these things, or they might not necessarily experience or have a first hand, apart from maybe movies or something like that. But in terms of like real life, I mean, the events that we've been seeing, it's like now this is in front of them. It's coming to your home that this is the reality of life for some individuals, and unfortunately, it has exposed to them some people's mindsets towards who they are as individuals. And like you guys have been saying, it's a reality that they're going to face. And so, it's a conversation that we have to have. And my fear is similar to Cameron, is not necessarily that they will have challenges, is that I don't want their confidence in who they are to ever be knocked. That's my fear. My fear is that one day they will feel, or something will happen, or they'll go through an experience that will cause them to question their own self. And like you're saying, whether or not they're enough, or is there something wrong with me, or any of these elements that isn't actually factual, and just based on somebody's view and prejudice, and racism, so for me, like you're saying, Cams, we talk about, I talk about, like with my kids, it's all about empowerment. You mentioned that as well, Fess. It's all about empowerment, empowering my kids, letting them know that they are amazing children, because they are. They're smart, they're witty, they're beautiful. Cams, you said that your granddad will walk, and it was as if the world was waiting for him. Do you know what I mean? Not the other way around. And I try to instill that in my kids. Like, look, you guys are anything you want to be. You already are. You just have to decide, because you already have the capabilities, you already have the mindset, you already have, it's all within you. So whatever you choose to do, you can accomplish. And my biggest fear is for that to one day be undermined and knocked that they may have with some dude, or some person in the workplace or in college, or you see what I'm saying? Because obviously we're trying to build up, and my fear is that they're going to go through something that's going to tear that all down, or knock it all down, as a result of something silly like the color of your skin. But my prayer is that I instill that confidence in them, that they can walk away from a confrontation, or an incident, and be able to look within and find strength to be able to move on. It's a hard one.
That's an interesting, because I was thinking about that as when you're speaking, and I've got an example of this where one of our children, who will remain nameless because we are on social media, he got into an incident at school with a boy who made a racist comment towards him, and he reacted to it. Okay, so he reacted to it, and let's say he was a champion in that situation. But it turned into, so obviously the child reported it and we had to go to the school. So first and foremost, for me, this is going to sound bad, but I was proud that he stood up for himself.
Me too.
I was proud that, and I know reacting physically to any kind of racism or taunts is the wrong thing to do. I know that, and like no one should. But I was I'm saying what we should say, right? I'm saying what we should.
Say what we should say.
But I was proud that he stood up for himself, and the reason is like that's one thing that there's three things that I say to my kids. One of them is just be proud of who you are, like be proud of who you are. That's first and fundamental. And then the second one is always stand up for yourself, regardless of what the situation is. Always stand up for yourself. But more importantly, they should talk their truth. Always tell the truth. Do you know what I mean? Because if you tell the truth, no one can say anything against you. And me as a parent, me as your dad, I will back you 100%. I will fight for you until I can fight no more. So long as you're telling your truth.
Yeah.
So in that situation, like he reacted. We had to go to the school. But what was powerful is that when we got to the school and we had to speak with the teachers, their comments were, "We know that's not your son. Like from what we've seen of him, he's been here for 2 years and he's never been in any issues. Like he's the most polite boy. He's respectful. Other students look up to him, and all of these good things coming out." Because I was ready to just argue his case, but the teachers already knew because of the way he carries himself. They knew that's out of character for him. So for me, like even though there are fears and concerns about growing up black, I think you guys have all said it. We have to ensure that we instill with them the confidence of they know who they are. You know what I mean? They can stand tall. If anybody says anything, they know within themselves that they are strong, they are black, and they're proud of who they are. So I think you guys have touched on some valid points on there. But it's a scary world. Quartz, did you want to chime in?
To be honest with you, you guys have said it all, and same fears that I have for Anaya, you know, as she's growing up. Like I remember when I was in secondary school, being in the 90s and the 80s, like I didn't like my dark skin, you know. But I love my dark skin now, do you know what I mean? Not now, but I've loved my dark skin for
We're winning now. We're winning now.
But we are winning, Cams. Proper winning. You get me? And so when like I bath Anaya and then I take her in the room and I'm putting shea butter on her skin and I'm like, my daughter has beautiful skin.
Come on.
I even at this age, 1.5, I tell her how beautiful she is and I hug her and I tell her positive things and me and Auntie were buying like book of like I bought this for her the other day. Do you know what I mean? Just affirmations for her, you know, as she's growing up, so she can feel comfortable in her skin and walk with her head high when she's walking wherever she goes. And one thing I'm not sure who mentioned it. First, you mentioned I think like
know where you're going. Sorry, my headphone just died.
But know where you're going, and you don't talk the same everywhere. You know, if you're going for an interview, you talk different. My mother always say to me, learn how to turn.
And I say, what do you mean? She goes, you cannot write the same way you talk, and you cannot go into an interview and talk the same way you talk to your friends.
Absolutely.
And I've learned that I've learned to do that for interviews and wherever, and I'm trying to make sure that Anaya also learn that, and any other children that God decides to bless us with. But most of all, just to be very comfortable in her skin. And you know what? I might get shot down by a lot of ladies with this one, but I don't want my daughter to feel like she needs to wear a weave to have nice hair. I want her to be proud of her hair and wear it proudly. And I know sometimes, you know, people say like in the winter, our hair breaks and stuff like that. But I just want her to be proud of it at all times, you know, and not feel like she needs the long fake hair to make her look beautiful. So it's my fear that she feels how I felt when I was in school. You know what I mean? That my skin is too dark and I don't like it, and this, and all of that, really.
Yeah.
Confident in everything, education, everything.
You know what? That is a deep thing you said, because I remember, like, when I was in school, it was actually earlier than secondary school, just before, like my latter years of primary, just coming into secondary. It's like I used to be called all kind of things, man. Like, you black this, you African boo boo, all all kind of
Manuel,
madness.
did you get ABC?
Yeah. I mean,
What was that one?
African bum cleaner. You didn't get that one.
yeah, I remember.
I remember that.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
No, I didn't get that one. I just got the ABB, boy. But yeah, so it's like I look at, like you're saying, Kay, I look at my lot, because like Micah, dark skin, his skin is so beautiful. Do you know what I mean? He's darker than me, but he's beautiful, and it's like I try to always give him positive affirmations. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's become a very confident young man, but he's naturally he's a very shy, reserved kind of guy. You guys know him. Do you know what I mean? He's quite shy and he's quite reserved, but he's become very, very confident in his own skin. And a lot of that is, I would say, because of the conscious decision that you're talking about, Kate, like the conscious decision to affirm him in his skin. And funny enough, it's like I try to do the same with my daughter for the exact same reason, Kate. Because the media often portray beauty as a certain way, and sometimes their own environment would suggest, some of the women that they see in their lives would suggest that beauty looks a certain way as well. And so, as a dad, I have to affirm her beauty, like in her natural hair and in her, I mean, she's the fairest of all of us, but she's still at her age has come home and told us certain experiences that she's had with her friends, and some of the things that have said to her because of her skin is darker than theirs.
What?
Yeah. Because of, I mean, bro, it's crazy. Even Marcel, my youngest one, he's 11. Even Marcel, he's come home and he said, Dad, my friend has said X and Y today, and they were saying this, that, and the other, and he had to report it, and we've had to go into the school and talk about it and stuff like that. So this is something that we're not talking used to happen, or even used to happen to us, and or we're trying to guard our children against if it should happen. It actually is happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a big one to affirm them in their skin with what they have, and just make them walk out of the house with their head high, regardless of what goes on. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to keep on doing it. So they might go out and get knocked down a little bit because a friend said this and somebody made this comment. Do you know what I mean? But when they come home, we have to charge them back up.
Yeah.
And then send them back out.
Yeah. I tell you something, yeah. I think it's essential for, and everyone's situation is different, but it's essential for kids to see not just, or to be charged up not just by the parent, but by uncles and by aunts, because like everyone brings different qualities. So there are certain qualities that I would love to give to my kids, or I'd love them to have. And just based on my makeup as a person, I don't necessarily have it, or I don't have a lot of it. But Emmanuel does. So there are certain things that my kids might get from him that they didn't necessarily get from me. But the aim and objective is that they get it. Do you see what I'm saying? So
that's that village thing, though, isn't it, bro? That's 100%, the village.
100%. But I think the challenge can be is I want to be able to give my kids everything.
Yeah.
Everything that they need, I want to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to impart it to you guys. And the reality is, I don't have everything. You know what I mean? So when it comes to, there are certain qualities that Fess has got, certain qualities that Kay has got, certain qualities that Jason's got that I may not have. And so the beauty of us spending time and loving each other as brothers and us loving each other's kids is that your kid might see something in me that they need or that they like.
Yeah.
And so they kind of gravitate to Uncle Cam just because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like Uncle Cam. They don't really know why, but I like Uncle Cam. And as they grow and develop,
that's true.
More and more of that from me. You know what I mean?
That's real.
Yeah.
And that happens with all the kids.
Yeah.
So I think when we're talking about having that level of insulation, I think there has to be an understanding that providing they get it, that's the aim of the game. Who they get it from, I say tentatively,
is less important.
You know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah.
We've got 2 questions which are coming, so I think we can probably address these 2 questions and then jump onto the next question. So one was from Flo. She said, "Do you think it's important? Do you think it's important, or have you made a conscious effort to expose your children to Black privileges, for example, Black books, dolls, theatre, etc.?"
100%, man.
So
hey, Flo, this you all right?
That one. Go on, Cox.
Yeah, I think it is 100%. But as I think somebody said it at first, I don't want my children. I want my children to be proud of who they are and where they're from and what has influenced them. I mean, you know, family and all those positive stuff. But I don't want them to dislike. Because sometimes, you know, there's a line. I don't want them to dislike other races. I want them to appreciate every race and just, again, be aware of how some people may treat her or them if there's more than one. I think it's awareness more, but 100%, I want them to. I have started to expose my daughter to these type of books, and like even on some of the children program on Netflix. There's one that's I don't know what it's called. It's to do with Michael Jackson. So like,
they were
the A B C. And that one. So I like her to watch that. I wanted to see. I wanted to see that on TV as well. You know, like my wife made me conscious of this because I was going with the flow at first, and T kept on talking about, you know, Black books and stuff like that. So I came across that program on Netflix, and I just put it on for her because, first of all, she loves music. If she's about to walk out of the room and music come on, she comes back and she start watching that or listening to it. So I knew that would grab her attention. So Motown Magic. That's it. Thank you. I think it's very important to expose them to that from young. And affirm them, and it will help them with their self-esteem.
I think speaking of Cam's point earlier, right? So it's important, yes, to expose them to these Black privileges, but it starts in the village first of all, right? Knowing that they've got one uncle doing like works in finance, one uncle works in a trade, one uncle's got his own business, one auntie's got that for me is super important.
Yeah.
The village, knowing that you come from like industrious people, and there's people in your family and in your network that are doing things. So the privilege starts for me in the house and in the village. I mean, whatever they see outside, yes, we'll show them certain things, whatever. There isn't a lot as much as we have to make effort to look for those things. So because of that effort to look for it, I think it's really important that we focus on the village. The village mentality is big for me anyway.
100%.
So Kwame's also made a point, and I think we might have touched on elements of this. But he said, from the points that you've made, would you say they apply to both young Black men and women? And then how would you advise your daughters with regards to these situations? And then how would you advise your son? So I think primarily probably all focused on our sons for obvious reasons. But I guess we've also, Emmanuel and Quarks, for example, made comments about making sure that they love their skin and that they know how much they love. I would even go so far as, so for me, like my daughter's like my queen. I always make sure that she knows she's special. Like always, like I want her to know because I don't want any man to take advantage of her or treat her like trash.
Are you mad?
You know,
Are you mad?
Fam. Listen, anyway.
Bro, that's another conversation.
Offline, we do it offline.
Don't do this. You might get me mad on here, you know. Don't do this.
Offline.
But like honestly, like I'm always like giving her hugs and you know what I mean, telling her she looks nice, and when she does her hair, I'll paying her as many compliments as I can because I want her to become accustomed to knowing that she's a princess and a queen. Do you know what I mean? So before lockdown, we haven't done it for a while, but we would go on things like dates. I'll take her on dates to like a cake shop, or you know what I mean, we'll go and get some ice cream or something, just something to for her to know that she's special.
Right.
Because then when she's like 45 or 50, when she's allowed to get married,
when it's too young, it's a bit young to be fair.
Yeah. But anyway, when any man does want to take her on a date, she knows the standard which has been set. Do you know what I mean? And by the same token, I like her mum and I we're very affectionate around the house because I want her to see that. I want all of them to see that level of affection and how to treat a woman. So just to answer Kwame's point, I think the fear of my fear for my daughter is that the man that she finds doesn't treat her like the queen she is. And so I really want her to understand that she is a queen.
Can I just chime in just very quickly?
Go for it.
I think 100% what you said, that your daughter should be treated like a queen and like a princess, 100%. I guess maybe a challenge that I have is that my daughter knows how to treat that same man. You know what I'm saying? Because if he messes up and he does something untoward, he knows he's got problems.
Come on.
Yeah.
But if she messes up, that's still someone's son. Like he still comes from somewhere.
100.
So you have to give him the same level of respect, care, kindness, and compassion that you expect him to afford to you.
Yeah.
And if you come back and you were disrespectful or you were the one that was untoward, me and you got a problem. You don't roll like that. You know what I mean? And so I think in my mind, I think because we all got daughters, there's that sense of, oh, you know, like she has to be treated this way and rah. And it's like, yeah, she must. But all you guys' wives, who I know personally, treat you guys respectfully.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And if they didn't, you guys would have a problem. In the same way, she must treat him accordingly. So the relationship is a symbiotic one, a reciprocal one. You know what I mean?
What?
100%.
Cool. All right, let's jump into the next question. This is a bit of a deep one as well. What has been the most difficult point of fatherhood? What has been the most difficult point of fatherhood? Let me go with Emmanuel first.
Oh man, there's so many points that are difficult, man. Because I think the challenge really is each stage is a new one. It's new territory, and you're kind of to a degree walking blind, and feeling out how to best deal with that situation. But I would say, if I think back, I think one of the most difficult times, like this just pops to my mind, so I'm gonna just go with that. Was at the beginning when Michael was first born, and you know that period, the period where they're still suckling, you know, and probably up to about 8 months old. That period where I almost didn't exist to the kid. because mummy was everything. And that was difficult in the sense that, you know, this I was a father for the first time. I'm experiencing, you know, feelings that I never knew I could feel. You know, all of these kind of things was going on towards this new human being in my life, but they rejected me for the most parts.
Wow.
And because what it is that it wasn't necessarily that, it was the times when they would cry, or the times when he would, you know, you could tell he needed something and you wanted to be the one to bring about that comfort, but they didn't want you. They wanted mummy. That was hard. It was, I mean, it got to the point where I was like, this is never going to happen to me again. But I had to sit back and think. I had to try and break it down. I didn't have anyone to talk to me and say, you know what, at this stage, you need to try X and Y, or else this is likely to happen. So as it happened, it was like, I was like, what's going on? Why that period of time was I just you know, MIA kind of thing in their eyes? So when Mikhail and Marcel were born, I did things very differently to negate that, because that feeling, I vowed to myself, I'm never going to feel that again unnecessarily. Like I just said it's not going to happen. This is not going to happen to me again. I have to figure out what went wrong so I can fix it. So that feeling of rejection, there are a few other areas, but I found that part really, really difficult.
I think similar with me, but it's not as long or as much. It's just when Anaya cries, and I'll go and pick her up, and you know, she put her head on my shoulder, but as soon as her mom comes, she wants to go to her mom, and that for me, I find it hard. But what can you do? She's like 1.5 years old, you know, she's 1 or whatever. Like, there's nothing I can do. So, and I guess she finds it a comfort at the time to go to her mum. So then I'll give her to her mum. And sometimes she will be like, no, stay with daddy, stay. But the fact that she wants to go to her mum, I want to give her to her mum. So she can, I guess, maybe feel at peace. But it's hard. It's very hard when you want to comfort them, but they don't want you. They want their mum. That is hard.
So mine's a little bit different. So being a young man and moving around and just having just yourself to worry is what you're used to, right? So getting married, having a wife, having to share your life with someone, there's a period of adjustment there. Then you have a child, and it's like there's a piece of you now that's like there, and you have to take care of them and worry about. Like it's a new fear that I wasn't ready for. I just wasn't ready for that new. Like, wow, this is like I'm thinking about them all the time. Every decision I make, like their influence, I've got to make sure I'm concentrating on them, or they're in the back of my mind. And I have 2 sons first, right? Then I have a daughter. And that's the difference for me. Just being personally honest, that's a different fear, because now I'm raising a girl, and it's that adjustment of like not letting go, trying to maintain that balance of not being too protective, because I'm a protective father, I think. But letting them have their own experiences and growing and trying stuff out. Like in the park just early this afternoon, and the kids are learning how to ride and stuff. And so my daughter's riding her bike way down the park, and the other kids are talking to me, but I can still see her pink top, and I haven't left. Like, she hasn't left my sight. I can see her, and my wife is like, where is she? I said, don't worry, I can see her. My son was still chatting to me, but I wasn't engaged. I was just watching my daughter. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna be when she wants to just proper go riding and just, you know what I mean? For me, that letting go is quite difficult for me. I think I think I'm definitely gonna have some problems in the future.
I think so mine is so I would say my most difficult point of fatherhood is when my wife miscarried. And it's quite a deep, it's quite a, obviously it's quite a sensitive topic. But I would without a doubt say that's the most difficult time I've had as a father. And I think it was difficult because obviously with miscarriage, the event of miscarriage is more difficult on the woman for obvious reasons. You know what I mean? She's carrying a life inside her, and if the life passes away, then the whole process of, you know, of the things that happen after that, which I won't get into. But I think as a man, and I think for me, it was difficult because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know, like I thought I had to be strong for my wife. So because I had to be strong for my wife, I couldn't show my pain and my weakness. And then because of that, I shut down. And I didn't speak about it. I didn't discuss it. Like I didn't talk to her about how I was feeling because I knew she was going through so much pain herself. And honestly, that was personally a horrible time because I was in so much pain, but I had nobody to speak to. Well, I felt I had nobody to speak to about it. Right. And I think as men, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of you, and you might come back to me and say that's incorrect, but I think as men, we find it so difficult to show our emotions because we're always supposed to be strong and in charge and in control and you know, all of those things.
The strong one.
We are supposed to be the strong one, but when it comes to something which is so, when it's a life, do you know what I mean? Something you're looking forward to, and then it's just taken away, and you see your wife in so much pain, and there's nothing you can do to comfort her. But then by the same token, you're in pain as well. Like all of these emotions are running through your head, and then you're not talking about it, and you're just internalizing it. For me, it was the most difficult time, and up to now, I don't know how I could have dealt with it. Well, I know how I could have dealt with it better, but like it was just horrible. It was just horrible, and I wish I could have dealt with it better, but it was a horrible time.
Yeah. So would you say you realized that straight away, or is this later on you kind of looking back at it?
I knew at the time. Like I knew I shut down at the time. Like, we were climbing to bed, and I would want to break down, but I would just hold it in. Wow. I knew at the time I was not dealing with it well. Do you know what I mean? And I remember Quarks saying like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm cool." I wasn't cool, bro. Like, I wasn't cool at all. Like I was not cool at all. I was broken. But I didn't know how to deal with that painful emotion. And I guess the only thing I would advise anybody or any guy going through that situation is find someone to talk to. The mad thing is I had people to talk to. I could have spoken to any one of the guys on this forum right now. But I didn't. And I think that's something I regret, that I didn't share how I was feeling, because I think it would have really helped me deal with that painful situation.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
For me, can I just chime in quickly on that one? Because that's a deep one, man. That's a deep one. Because like the reason why I asked that question, Jay, is because I think for me, I didn't realize that at the time that it cut me that deep. It's like when that happened, my concern was my wife was like, "Are you okay? We need to," you know what I mean? And I remember being in hospital and walking her to the bathroom, and I was just watching how she was walking, and I felt so much pain, but the pain was watching her in the pain. And her experience. I didn't realize how deep it had cut me until much later. Because it was like, okay, you're going through this, I have to be there for you. Do you know what I mean? So my mind was just very much outside of myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until much later that I was sitting down, and it kind of, I don't know why, the subject matter popped up in my mind, but it did. And I realized that, you know what, I never actually dealt with it. I never considered how I felt. And then it dawned on me that I wasn't okay with it, because I started to feel things that I couldn't explain to you why I was feeling it, because it was in the past. So it initially it was like, could I be feeling this way because of that? Because I'm thinking about this, I'm feeling all of these emotions, and I'm like, is that really what it is? And it was a mad one, because initially for me, I didn't even realize it was connected to that pain was because of that.
Wow.
Because at the time it was a case of I just wasn't thinking that, I don't know, it just didn't feel like, at the time it didn't feel like my mind was on it, or you know. So for me, and I'm like a bit like you in the sense that, for the reality is, there were individuals that I could have spoken to. It wasn't, I didn't speak because I couldn't speak to anyone, and I don't actually know why. I don't know if you know why you didn't speak, but I guess it's something that as men, sometimes we don't make a conscious decision not to talk. We just don't.
Yeah.
And yes, I feel you on that one, Jay. That's a big one. That's a big one, because like you're saying, it's go on.
You feel so helpless, right? To help. You want to take that whole process, pain, whatever it is, from your woman, from your wife, but you can't. And there's just it was too much. I don't think I can even talk about it too tough, because it was too much at the time when things were happening. If you need something to help her, that's in a shop. You couldn't leave her because you were going through the process at the time. I couldn't leave T. I had to call someone to go and get me some stuff that would help T. I couldn't leave her. It's too much. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's tough.
Yeah. I couldn't really. Yeah. It's tough. Very tough. Very tough, Cams.
You know what? It's never it's never, miscarriage has never been my experience, and so I'm not going to chime in. I can't chime in the way that you guys obviously have. I can't share in the way that you guys have. But I think what we were saying about the village, or what you were saying about the village before Fest, is not just for kids.
Yeah.
It ain't just for the kids.
Yeah,
the village is for all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's certain discussions you can't have with your wife because you're hurting, and her level of hurt exceeds yours.
Yeah.
And as men, we feel like we have to make ourselves available to her, but we're hurting as well. You know what I mean? And I just think when it comes to situations and circumstances like that, we need to be okay as well. You know what I mean? And so the village, and I totally respect, and I get what you guys are saying about you could have spoken to folk and you didn't for whatever reason, and that's something you probably have to work out within yourselves. But the village is there for all of us. You know what I mean? And we have to make use of it. Otherwise, we suffer in silence, and moreover, suffer unnecessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. I think we're probably gonna have to jump to the next one, because
Might start crying in a minute.
I guess we're still not over it. Anyway, Let me jump to another one then, because it's kind of related to what we've been speaking about. And the question is, who do you seek counsel or advice from?
So we've talked about this, I guess, over the years. But in terms of having mentors, I think I was saying earlier about my own dad, him being my role model and my hero. And as he's got older, he's definitely mellowed in his ways. So there are times it's easy to talk to him about certain things, because I feel he feels he's done his job now. So I'm a grown man; I can just make my own mistakes or whatever. To be honest with you, who I seek counsel now from is probably my boys, you guys, my other extended friends. Like I don't have like elders to go to. Yes, there are older people in our community that I can speak to, but the advice I give is not because they may not have experienced the same things that I have. Some of the advice may just be like, it's okay, just relax. It's fine. That's not what I want to hear. It would be okay. Just pray. That's not.
It's okay.
That's not what I want to hear. But if I chat to random, then it's different, because I find out that you're experiencing it too. Okay, so there's a shared experience, and there's a way maybe we could reason and come to some sort of understanding.
Yeah.
So I'd say I seek counsel from the mandem, really, from the fellas, man. That's me, anyway.
Yeah, same. I mean, I have uncles, but for whatever reason, I haven't reached out to them in seeking counsel like that. It's most of the time from my friends that I trust. Any of you guys on here, and a couple of others outside. Yeah, like even with my daughter, I've watched each and every one of you guys with your children, because all of you had children way before me, and I have watched each and every one of you when you're with your children, how you deal with them, and I've picked bits and pieces that I use and probably will use or have used with my daughter. So yeah, I think my mentors really are my friends that I really trust. You know what I mean? That I know you guys got my back. That will always, have my best interests at heart. Yeah.
Most definitely.
I'm looking at this, and I actually feel quite sad when I'm thinking about my answer, and it's quite sad because like first you were saying, and we've talked about this village thing, and we have a lot of individuals. We have a lot of the membership is high in the village.
Yeah.
But how many have valid passports? Do you know what I mean? It's like who because I'm thinking in my environment, my family stroke. I look and I'm like, my friend.
Hey. Right there, mate.
That's it. I'll be back in a minute.
I'm back.
Man,
sorry. Oh man.
Let's get back.
So I'm looking around me, and I'm looking at the elders, like uncles, friends or friends of friends, friends of family, and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, I actually can't think of one individual that I could say, you know what, if I have something on my heart, I know I can pick up the phone to Uncle so and so. I can pick up the phone to. It's all on a horizontal level, like with you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going up to those above who have many more years of experience in life in general.
Why did you think that?
It's all. I think it's for the same reason that we have, like, some of the stuff that we talked about with our parents, with our, you know, with our dads and stuff like that. Probably all of the same kind of mind generation, brought up in the same, you know, era of the same kind of culture,
Right.
and the rest of it. And I think we really are in that place to change that narrative. Because like all our children have us as uncles and aunties and stuff, that we are hopefully in a place to change that narrative, because there's literally, like, I can think of one person apart from the individual that I said to you guys right at the very beginning that gave me that talk. There's one other person that I can think of in all my, I won't say his name, but he goes to my church, and he is the only person I can think of that I'd be like, you know what, I feel like I could pick up the phone. I could pick up the phone and call him. Like, and I think it makes me feel sad thinking about that.
Yeah,
you know, it's like when it comes to counsel and advice on this, when I look at it, I can only look horizontal. That's you guys. But there's no one to look in terms of up. Yeah, and we're in a position to change that narrative, I guess. But you know, we got to take that one on the.
Do you guys wish that you did have someone like a mentor or somebody that you go to just with? Do you know what I mean? The reason I say that is because I know we've got us as guys. Do you know what I mean? And we always go to each other with things that we're going through, or issues at work, or issues with kids, or issues with our wives. Do you know what I mean? So we'll talk to each other about it. But the fact is, we are also working it out for ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We are all also on that journey. So you wish you could have somebody who was older, who has been there, done that, bought the movie, bought the t-shirt, that you could chop it up with and get that guidance and advice and mentorship from.
The thing is, when I've asked before, when I thought I had that, and I've tried to reach out to said person, the response I got made me think, what the hell? Like, what? Like, I was so baffled and spun by the response I got. I thought, you know what? Yeah, it has to be horizontal, as Emmanuel was saying. It can't be that. What I thought it was, it just can't be that. Like, you're moving mad, and it can't be you.
I mean, to be fair, people I'm thinking of haven't really tried, but that's because they always seem so busy. Like, they're so busy. They're like, it's like they're trying to hustle themselves, and so I'm one. I don't really like to bother people. So when someone seems so busy, I don't want to like add more to their busyness. So yeah, I haven't really tried. So if I'm gonna be fair to them, like say my uncles, I haven't really tried in that. And I think a couple of them have tried to reach out to me, but I guess maybe it wasn't the right time. I didn't want to talk or whatever. But yeah, so if I'm gonna be fair to them, I haven't really tried. I've always just by default come to you guys. Do you know what I mean? Or anyone that I trust, like that, like my friends, really. Yeah.
And how much of that do you think is down to like we were saying, relationship? Because it's like, because certain individuals check for you.
Yeah.
So it's like in a time of need or anything like that, certain individuals might come to mind because outside of that they check for you.
Yeah. I think being comfortable as well. I don't know if I'm comfortable to share like that with them. Yeah, I don't know if I'm comfortable like that. I'm getting comfortable with them, but I don't know if I'm comfortable to share like that with them. I think my comfort zone is my friends. And so I go because my friends have always been my comfort zone.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I've always gone there. So and when I'm sitting, I'm thinking about it now. I think a couple of them I could really like talk to, but I think because my friends have always been my comfort zone, I just go there straight away.
I think maybe what we're talking about here is relational attachment and detachment. So this idea of a horizontal relationship and a vertical one, the reason why sometimes the olders, we can't really go to the olders is because as much as they may care, there isn't a relational attachment.
That's a relationship, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I can't, if you ask me to explain the intricacies of quantum mechanics, I don't know it. I don't know. I can definitely blag and have a crack, but I don't know it. You know what I mean? And I can't give you what I don't have. And so sometimes, like, you go to an older person with a problem, and they tell you to pray, or they tell you, oh, you know, it will be okay, it will be okay. They're giving you the best of what they have. Like they don't have, maybe they don't have any more to give. You know what I mean? And so in my mind, I think to myself that the whole, even the idea of like a horizontal relationship and a vertical one, I believe, and this is for me, all my relationships are horizontal. You're a husband, I'm a husband. I've been married 15 years, you've been married 25 years. The only difference is that you just have a few more years on me. But the role and responsibilities that you have to your children and to your wife are exactly the same as mine. You see what I'm saying? So if I come to you to have a conversation and you're unable to give me what it is that I need, then I just have to chalk it down to, you know what, you just don't have it to give. In the same way, if I said to you, okay, you lend me £100 and you don't have it, then you don't have it. You know what I mean?
I guess for me, the horizontal vertical is more to do with generation stroke age, because 100%. I don't see my parents as on my level, if you see what I'm saying. Right. And uncles and those who are on their level, I see them as a generation above, and us as in the same generation kind of thing. So I guess that's what I mean by horizontal stroke vertical.
100%. And this is why I prefaced it by saying maybe it's more a camp thing. So I agree with you. The generational gap is different, but in terms of your dad's responsibility to you, your sisters, and your mum are exactly the same as what is your responsibility to your wife and your kids. The age is different and the time is different, but the principle that governs is the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess generally, I kind of look at it and I think to myself, when it comes to seeking counsel, we just have to be in a position to solicit the help and the aid from people who are in a position to give us what it is that we need. So I think I'm relatively fortunate in that I have like a group of people that I talk to regularly. You know what I mean? I have a very close-knit group that I talk to on a regular basis, and we chop it up and we speak very openly, very candidly about loads of stuff. And that has helped me to really gain insight into me as a person. You know what I mean? And I think ultimately we all have to find that. Like everyone needs that. No one's an island. No one exists in a vacuum or a bubble by themselves. And so seeking counsel, I mean, there have been issues that I've had, and me and Kay have had like little sit downs and conversations, you know what I mean? Some of which I won't fully go into because, you know what I mean? Yeah. But we've had those conversations. And sometimes he has it to give me, sometimes he doesn't. And that's not an indictment on him. That's just to say, you know, the circumstance at hand, this is what it requires. It may not require a K response. It might require a Festus response. You know what I mean? Again, it then kind of goes back to the village and really trying to establish your place in the village. Because like Emmanuel's saying, you might have enough people in there. You might have 100 people in the village, but only 5 of them are really your people. You know what I mean? Only 5 of them are really people that you can go to and have very honest, open, transparent, and candid conversations with. And that's okay. You know what I mean? But if we can identify who those people are for us individually, then I think it makes life a lot easier.
So just on the back of that, we've actually got 2 comments which are, I think they're kind of related. So Flo has stated, if we're struggling to answer this question, then maybe this is the problem with our younger generation of fathers and men not having a key role model in their lives to talk to. And then Eugene on the back of that has said, how do we really go about changing the narrative so that the next generation can reach out to you all? And I think that speaks to us particularly because with Quark Fest and we've actually, I wouldn't call it a ministry, but it is in itself. But we started like a group called Boys to Men. We did start a group. We've joined like a group called Boys to Men, and it's, I'll probably say it's like a mentorship group with some of the young boys who attend our church. And it started with maybe 5 and grew to maybe 15. And literally what we do is have catch-ups pre-lockdown. We would have catch-ups on a monthly basis or every 2 months or so. And they would come up with the topics of what they want to discuss, and we'll talk about it. We'll share our experience. We'll share whether it's a relationship, whether it's about marriage, whether it's about our views on dealing with women and so on. Do you know what I mean? There'll be topics that they come up with that we then in the group setting discuss, and they are open enough to share their deepest fears and concerns and feelings with us. And Emmanuel said, I think it goes down to being able to just having a relationship with that younger generation. It's so key, because a lot of them might not have, like us, might not have somebody older to go to and discuss these things. They might not have a father like us who we couldn't go to and say, look, how do I know if I found the right woman? Or what if my friend is getting too close to my girlfriend? Like, how would I deal with the situation? Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't have gone to my dad and said, like, Dad, like, what should I do in this situation? Because that level of relationship wasn't there. So to answer that question, Eugene, for me anyway, and feel free to chime in, guys, but for me, it's just making sure that you have that relationship with that younger generation and make yourself as accessible as possible, so that they do have somebody to speak to. And Cam, you said it, we might not even have all the answers, but I reckon we can find somebody who does have answers in our network. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Just very quickly. You know when we think about, so like, I've spent a lot of time around Ghanaian folk over the last 20 years, a lot of time, and something that is not even just amongst Ghana folk, but I'm just using that as an example. Tradition plays a big part in how Ghanaian people live. That tradition is big. Tradition is big everywhere. But it dawned on me, like, who establishes and sets tradition? How does tradition come about? I got to give my mother-in-law something with my left hand. She says, no, you have to give it with the right. Who set that in place? And when I consider it, I think to myself, at some point, someone said, I think we should do stuff like this. And then a group of people agreed on it, and then they started to do that thing. And over time, that becomes the tradition and the culture of that group of people. So in answer to the question that was posed, I think to change the narrative, all it really takes for us to do is to set a new normal. It's to set something new and be consistent with it. So
has to be intentional
and transparent, intentional about being open and transparent. So as the kids grow, and even as we grow, we operate and function in a newness of, or when we have issues, we talk to each other. When I've got an issue with my wife, we're going to have a conversation. We're not just going to be upset with each other. When such and such happens, we're gonna opt and choose to do it differently. You know what I mean? And then that becomes a new tradition. That becomes a new culture. That becomes the new norm and the new way of living. And then before you know it, we've then rewritten the narrative. Now that could take a lifetime. But Kate, your Anaya is what,
1.5, yeah.
So when she's 45, and this is being put in place now, for her, it's just like, and she got husband, she got kids. What we're trying to establish now will be normal life for her then. You know what I mean? It will be, that's just what we do. That's what we do in our culture. That's what we do in our tradition. We're open. You know what I mean? We're kind and compassionate, and we make ourselves available to the ones that we love. That's just how we live. You know what I mean? And that was just in response to the question from before.
Respect that.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, love that, Camps. Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, we're gonna switch to the last two questions, and then we're gonna wrap up. This has gone a lot quicker than I thought it would, but it's been good. I've enjoyed the discussion. I've enjoyed it a lot. So, last two questions. What do you find most enjoyable or rewarding about being a father?
Oh man, Anna's got this thing where I'll be sitting there, and she might be sitting in my lap, and she'll turn around and grab my head and kiss me on my forehead. You know what? That alone, right, makes my eyes glazy. Back up, like my eyes just glaze up, and it's like you're on a burst of just love for her. This expression I get from Emmanuel. Emmanuel said that to me before. He goes, when you have children, it's like you want to burst with so much love, like you got love and you just want to just explode. And when he said it, I can imagine it, but feeling it is a totally different level. Like I love that when I come from work and I open the door, all I hear is dad. It's just lovely, lovely to everything I do, even when I wake up in the night for her, like it's not a chore. Yes, I might be tired, but it's not a chore. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just everything about it for me is just lovely. I love it.
Go on, Fess.
Similar to what Quarks is saying about working in the kind of industries that we all work in can be quite stressful, can be quite hard. A lot going on. The code switching can be, you know what I mean, hard to kind of to maintain. You come home, and the love that you're greeted with, the reception is just like, wow. It's just, it makes it all worth it. I know it sounds too cheesy, but when you walk through the door and everyone's like,
but it is, bro.
It's like, daddy, and they run to you and they're all telling you their stories, at different places, and it's looking at them like, wow, this is live. And your missus in there, and it's like, yeah. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll echo that. It's such a beautiful thing. Like watching them. Sometimes I just sit back and watch them. I might look like I'm spaced out, but I'll just sit back and just watch them like they're eating or something, and I'm just sitting back watching them, and it's just something that's just bubbling. I'm just like, oh man. And like first, like you said, it's like you walk through that door and you just see them just like they just run like that daddy, and they just run out and just give you a hug and kiss. And the thing is, for me, the reason why it's so beautiful is because I've tried my hardest to create that, because I know that the relationship that you have with your children is you have to be intentional about what you want. If you just allow life to happen, anything, you can get anything. It could go well, it might not go well. Do you know what I mean? It's just throwing your chips out and seeing where they fall. But them running to me is everything I've been working for. This has been the intentions of all my actions. For me to walk through the door and to get them to run to me, it's everything. Do you know what I mean? And it just it lets me know that I'm on the right track. Because I read something from Ellen White one time, and to be honest, it's changed my narrative as a father. It really because she's in the passage, it talks about the father coming home, and how the thought of you coming home should not fill your family with dread.
Yeah.
But it should fill them with joy and love.
Yeah.
And that's been my mantra. Do you know what I mean? It's like, whatever I do outside of this, it has to be so that when I come home, my family's filled with love and joy and not dread. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Love that.
That's serious.
Go on, Cam.
Oh man, what's most enjoyable and rewarding?
It's a hard one, man.
You know what? I think it's seeing the different facets of me in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like for instance, my daughter might have been 3, and I've even now I've got this habit of, if I've got like biscuit or anything, they'll walk up to me and I just break piece and give them. It's just a habit, you know what I mean? Just here, and then we eat together. So she came to me, she said to me, Daddy, can I have biscuit? I said no. No, can I have biscuit? I said no. She was like, okay. So she walked away, brought me back water, a glass of water. I said, oh, Daddy, have you drank water today? I said, no, I haven't. So she gave me the water and she gave me a biscuit. She gave me
She knows.
Instinctively. I broke piece and gave her. And she got a biscuit. There's nothing wrong here, you know?
Oh, man.
There's nothing wrong here.
You watch your brain about talking.
Mate, but I look at that and I think to myself, that level of cheekiness has been me my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I look at Darion, and when he was maybe 2-3, he would get building blocks and he would pack them together. And I make music on a software called Logic, and the way it's configured is in blocks. And he would come to me and say, Daddy, look at my song. And he'd show me his building blocks and he would do it in the same color and the same configuration as what was on the screen.
Wow.
That used to blow me away.
Wow.
My youngest, when I was growing up, I was quite sensitive. And I look at him and he has that same level of sensitivity. You know what I mean? And I look at those kids and I think to myself, you guys are the best parts of me. You know what I mean? You guys are the best parts of who I am. Yeah. And every time I look at that, and sometimes very similar to Manuel, I look at them and I'm just like, you know what? If something happens to me and I'm no longer here, God forbid, you guys are proof that I existed.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
I hear that.
You guys are proof that I once walked this earth and I was here. You know what I mean? And that for me is incredibly enjoyable and rewarding.
You know what I mean? Love that. I think for me personally, the most enjoyable thing is just like the level of jokes and banter that we have in our house. Like my family are funny. They're like funny, and the way they diss each other is just hilarious. Like someone will catch an L, and all you hear is ooh, the whole house. Ooh. They're funny. Like my oldest Tariq, like he's proper like witty, like he's sharp.
That's
So
you.
You'll say something, and then he'll just come back with a response straight away, and there's nothing you can say. Do you know what I mean? He's got you. So yeah, I think all of them individually, they are all so funny. Like they're so funny, and we've had times in the house where literally we're all in tears, you know, just through the banter, and that's all we really want, like a happy home. Yeah. You know, like the world out there is tough enough as it is. You know what I mean? We've got the code switching, we've got trying to prove ourselves at work, we've got to like earn a living and all of those things. You know what I mean? Like it's tough out there. Yeah. So to come home and just have a happy home, for me, that's just the most rewarding thing about being a father. Yeah, look, like my wife said, they're all mad in this house. So yeah. Cool. All right, let's bring it home then. Let's bring it home. Last question. And I guess this will probably encapsulate the entire conversation. So whether it's a one line or a sentence or whatever, the question is, what would you say to your 18-year-old self? Let me start with Emmanuel. What would you say to your 18-year-old self?
Bagels, yeah.
To this guy. Oh, oh man. I would say, oh man, there's so much I would say, man. But one of the things I would say, make sure to say, is don't give up, as in push through. Because I know, without going into it, there's been a few situations and scenarios that I've been in that I mean, you guys know me. It's like I've been hustling for time.
Long time.
Always something going on.
Ages.
But I would say to my younger self that push through. Like, you're gonna, like, when you have something, run with it and don't stop. Push through, because there's certain things that have happened in my life that, had I tried to like keep going and figure out a way that seemed like the road had come to an end. But if I would have carried on just a little bit, maybe to figure out an answer, a way, my life would be very different right now. And I don't regret anything. Well, there's a few things I regret, but for the most part, I don't. But looking back and seeing the kind of places that my ambition nearly took me, but through some of the challenges and stuff, I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I might have to, call this one a day, because X and Y, this, that, and the other, I couldn't quite see a way past, see a way through loads of different scenarios that, I can't get into. But I would say, continue to be ambitious, think big, all of that kind of stuff. But when you're going for it, see it through to the end, and then keep going. Because some things have borne fruit, but wasn't able to continue in the vein it should have continued. So that's one of the things I'll keep it to one thing, just so everybody can have a thingy. But that's one of the things I would say to my younger 18-year-old self.
Love that.
Yeah, mine's more or less the same as Emmanuel. I went to uni with Fess, as you guys know. We were in the same class. We met when we was both like looking for a class. We couldn't find it.
Yeah.
This tall, skinny guy, confident guy.
Right, mate.
I think it's this way. I think it's this way. I think it's that way. We found. That time, my parents moved to America, and I was here. Why it was nice having my freedom in this house. The same place where I'm sitting now. I was paying the bills, and I was foolish with money at some points, and stuff. And it came to a point where I think our last year in uni, I decided to give up. And when I think about it, I should have pushed through. I've always thought about this, that I should have just carried on and pushed through. Yes, it was hard. It was really hard, just living there by myself, paying the bills, missing some of the bills, and having debt piling up. And I remember the feeling when I just gave up and went to work full time in First Sports.
Yeah, I remember.
So I was working at a time part time, and then I went in full time. I remember the feeling being like, oh, that burden is gone of doing work and having to do, essays and whatnot, everything else. But as I've grown up, I wish I had pushed through, because I feel my life will be different. I mean, thank God for the advice my mum always gave me. Learn to turn your tongue. It got me through. I always had a job. You know, one job goes, I got another one. Another job goes, I got another one. And you know, I went from job to job to job to job. I didn't have a career. And you know, in my later years, I decided to go and study again and get a career. And had I continued, perhaps I'd have had a career much earlier on, and perhaps different career. Do you know what I mean? But I love what I'm doing now. I love it. I love it. I love my colleagues. I love the way my work people behave. I love my managers. You know, everyone's really down to earth. But I think my life would have been different had I persevered. So I would always say, yeah, persevere through. If it's hard, find a way and persevere. That's what I would say tonight. Carry on, Kay. Don't quit uni. Carry on. It's only your last year. Carry on. That's what I say to myself. And pay your bills.
Always pay your bills.
Yeah, I pay my bills, but a couple of them I bought trainers instead of
Fair dues. You need
drink. Yeah. Carry on. No, for that.
Go on first.
So you lot know that in terms of hustling, I've been doing that probably since you guys have known me. I'm always to something. And I realize now, get it from my dad. But I think when I was 17 or 18, I was, anything he said was like, oh, you're just having a go. But he was preparing me because he could see that I'm going to be, I guess, version 2, if you like. So what I say to my is just take time. Just take time and kind of just hear him out.
Wow.
Love that. Cam?
Take time. That's something I heard a lot, Fizz. From my people, they'll be like, yo, just take time. What would I say to my 18-year-old self? Honestly, everything starts and ends with you. Everything starts and it ends with you. So whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is that you want in your life, whatever it is that you want to be or to embody, it starts with you and it ends with you. You know what I mean? And so there has to be a level of self-reliance and self-awareness that you have to have. So be it work, relationships, kids, marriage, whatever. Understand your place in the situation. Understand what it is that you bring to this situation, or what you provide, what value you add. And in understanding that, you then walk into most, if not all, interactions with a certain level of confidence in what it is that you provide and what it is that you can offer. So it would really be to just to self-actualize and know that you are going to be the reason that something. Let me rephrase that. You're going to be the reason that your contributions to any one thing are successful or not. You know what I mean? If you put in the work and it doesn't work, then you put in the work. You know what I mean? And it just wasn't meant to be. But never let it be because you were lazy or you were shoddy. You know what I mean? So in all things, everything, it starts and it ends with you. That's what I tell my 18-year-old self.
Love that. And I guess for me, I would say, like, have confidence and believe in yourself. And I think that's something that I definitely struggled with. And it's something that at times carried through into adulthood, in that there have been opportunities for me to do certain things or take certain roles or just do something. But because of a level of self-doubt at times or lack of confidence, it's preventing me from taking those opportunities. If I was to go back to my 18-year-old self, I would say, look, you know your stuff, you can do it, go and do it. Go and do what somebody who's already seen in you, do you know what I mean? And have confidence that you will deliver. because I believe there would have been opportunities that I could have had, and that I could have taken advantage of had I had that drive and that confidence to say, yeah, I'm good enough to do that. So yeah, looking back, 18-year-old self, that's what I would say to myself.
Just quickly though, I don't know if you might know, Kay might know, when Nadia and I were having our oldest, Jason actually got me my first job.
Oh,
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
He got me my the job that I had when I was having my son. And I can't lie, Jason. When I used to see you work, you used to work like a rock star, bro. I can't lie. He had this quiet confidence that said, I know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna just do it. Man like me was struggling to make targets, you know. Struggling to make targets. And this is, yeah, I just do the thing. And I look at myself, you know what? Big up to them man there, you know. Big up to them man there. Because for me it was a struggle, but for him, the way it appeared was just like, I got this. And I'm gonna just do my thing. And then he was coming with his mum's jollof. To the point where I then had to start bringing in rice from home. I'm like,
Big up every time,
mate.
Cam, you know what's mad? And this is what I mean. This is why I'll definitely go back to my 18-year-old self, is that at the time, other people would see that in me. Do you know what I mean? They would see like he can do this and he can do that and he can do this. And for me, I would just do what I'm doing.
Right.
But when I would be pushed forward, so that company that we were working for, they put me forward for a TL position because they knew I could do it, right?
Right.
And I went for the first interview and I smashed the interview, and then I pulled out. Oh, yeah. They're like, oh, why did you pull out? I'm like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. But it's because I had that self-doubt of, you know what I mean? I can't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's definitely a regret that when I look back, I'm like, yeah, you need to believe in yourself more.
Bro, you would have smashed it. There were people there, and I obviously won't say their name. There were people there that they couldn't do a damn thing. They don't even season food or wash with rag. You know what I mean? Like they weren't doing nothing. And sometimes even you used to I used to see people come to you and not the team leaders because you knew more. You know what I mean? And I used to look at you from afar and be like, man, he's doing the business.
Respect that, man.
Yeah, man. And you're still doing the business. You know what I mean?
Come on, we're trying out here.
Yeah.
We're trying out here, guys. Come on,
get that money, baby.
Cool, guys. 2 hours and 17 minutes. It's been a great discussion, man. Loved the audience. I've really enjoyed it. I hope those who have been watching have enjoyed it too and have taken away something. I guess we've tried to be as open and honest as possible, and just share our experiences. Again, for any guy or lady for that matter who would like to reach out to us individually to discuss anything that we might have brought up or any help that they might need, I'm sure any of us are willing to jump out and reach out and help anybody and offer some advice. But we appreciate everybody joining. Guys, love to you guys, man. It's been a good session. Let's not leave it too much to the next one. I've been asked to do there's been a competition on the husband and wife page, and there have been some winners. So I'm going to do the promotional bit for my wife, otherwise she's going to kill me. So there's been a competition with some prizes, and the prizes were a Daddy and Me newborn baby photo shoot with the company Splash by Jam, and another prize was a personalized 24-inch balloon by A Regal Touch. Next prize was 10% off Color Me J exclusive African print men's jumper, and then the final prize was a grazing box provided by Hey Sugar London. All black businesses. We're supporting black businesses, so big up yourselves, all these guys. Right. So the winners of the competition, the draw has taken place, and the winners of the competition played Daddy and Me newborn baby shoot with Splash by Jam. The winner of that competition is Mrs. Flo A. So that's Mrs. Flo A.
Oh yes, Flo, well done. I know Flo,
Congratulations to you. The winner of the personalized 24-inch balloon by A Regal Touch is Danny B. Danny B is the winner of that prize.
Well done, Danny.
Well done, Danny B.
The winner of 10% off Color Me J exclusive African print men's jumper is It's Prissy. It's Prissy. All of these businesses you can see on the Husbands and Wife YouTube page as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the final prize, a grazing box provided by Hey Sugar London, is EH116. I'm hoping you know who you are. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Big up
congratulations.
Six on that.
Say again?
I said big up EH116.
Come on. Grazing box. So congratulations to the winners. Guys, again, love, appreciation. Let's catch up real soon. Everybody who's viewing the page, thank you for tuning in with us. There's going to be a final live next week, which is another couples live. I don't know the subject, but follow the Husbands and Wife YouTube page and the Instagram page, and you'll find out. But without further ado, love, appreciation. Guys, we'll catch up soon.
All right. Peace.
Peace. Take care.
Yeah. Love.